All right. Let me break this down so it will forever be broke. What movie that from, y'all? All right. Oh, by the way, that was from Love Jones. If you've never seen that movie, Love Jones, check it out. Classic 90s. Can't beat it. One of the greatest movies of all time. Right. So let's break this thing down, shall we? So now, what this whole episode is about is giving you all an idea of how you're being gypped. You've been gypped out your money if you're not going to a professional licensed massage therapist. And there's a borderline in there. We could say franchises is borderline. They're licensed to do what they do. Well, some of them are licensed to do what they do. Especially the popular ones, definitely licensed. There's some that may not be. That's a whole nother topic, whole nother story. But we're gonna show you the number one thing and the difference. I'm gonna break this down. Now, when it comes to massage techniques, depending on what you give us, we have, which can be combined in some aspects and areas as well to kind of magnify the things. But the massage techniques it's eight of them. Well, eight of them, right? Eight categories. I'm gonna break all this down with. Now, I'm gonna give you the one that is being advertised that you most likely, most people think is all massage is in the first place. Let's go ahead and get that out the way. But before I get to that, let me give you all the categories and then we'll get that out the way. So, eight categories. Effleurage, right? You got that. You have petrissage, you have compressions, vibrations, tapotement, and three different types of friction, right? You got the superficial friction, which is more, skin, top layer skin type friction. It's real, you can hear, right? And, it has this, everything has its perks. And you got fiber friction and you have cross fiber friction, right? So eight categories. I'm gonna break all this down. So let's get the main one out the way that everybody know. But that's the only thing that you're being sold on or advertised to buy, right? It's effleurage. Most 9 times out of 10, when you see a commercial, it's all about the relaxation. It's all about the, which I talked about plenty of times, right? But that's the effleurage technique. Out of those eight, you're being advertised one, right? What is the meaning of or the purpose of effleurage, right? So the purpose of effleurage is it's a gliding technique. It moves fluid, right? It's relaxing, right? Effleurage helps spreads the lotion to stop the friction. So when they're spreading the lotion, that's an effleurage technique that you're using. But on the therapist side, it's also a palpation or a feeling technique that we're searching for problem areas, knots, adhesions, tightness, stiffness, mobility. Like we're using that to kind of scan the area that we're working on. If it's back, arm, we start off with that to see, okay, I need to work this area, that area, kind of get little mental notes to help you feel better. But you're only being told about the relaxation portion of it. I don't mean to put air quotes, but that's what you're being so. Oh, it's so smooth, it's so great, it's great. It relieves stress and everything. Yes, that's part of the benefits, but it's so much more to effleurage besides of how that technique is displayed. Gliding and everything, but it's also a transitional stroke, right? I don't know if a lot of therapists kind of do a transitional stroke, but like there's another technique I'm gonna put on there called feathering. This is more for like chair massages. Okay, so feathering is a very light. You're not really trying to do is the one, if not the lightest technique. It's very light. So it's a very light touch, something like this, But feathering is kind of like a flick in a way, but you're not using your whole arm. You're more just using the fingertips to kind of like if you brush your shoulder off. No, brush your shoulder off. Kind of that. So the brush off your shoulders, yeah, that's a feathering technique. Okay, that's not part of the 8 that I told you about, but I just gave you an extra one to show you that there's much more. But this is more tailored around Swedish massage. Now, which I'm pretty sure that I've talked about deep tissue and the difference between them, but just to give you, because we're talking about techniques, let me just give you that rundown real quick too before we get into more. Deep tissue, a lot of people mistaken deep tissue for deep pressure. If you want deep pressure, say deep pressure. There's portions of deep tissue that requires more pressure, but it doesn't have to be deep pressure. Deep tissue does not have to hurt. If you want deep pressure, say that. Versus deep tissue. Deep tissue, let's give you two of the main objectives of deep tissue is to target your attachment points. That's knowing the anatomy. So you're working on the attachment points of pretty much, your skeletal system and the muscles where it attaches to each part of the skeletal system. Those are the target areas by using a technique called striping. That's a whole nother technique. So there's much more to it. Not striping, but stripping of the muscles. And the second target is the muscle belly. And part of that stripping of the muscles, trying to target, which is a deeper pressure technique, you're trying to get the muscle bellies. So basically when you say deep tissue and deep tissue, part of that is to use our pressure, more pressure, but it doesn't have to be deep pressure, to scrape the bottom of your muscle along your skeletal system. So if I'm working on your quads, my target is to use your femur, right? And use your quads to go across your femur. Okay? Called stripping. That's that technique. Those are two more techniques of many that there's so many of them I'm not going to go over here, but that's just to give you an example that there's more than what I'm going to give you in this episode. This is going to be targeted to the Swedish massage, the most popular one outside, rivaling. It's kind of like Ryu and Ken if you ever play Street Fighter. Like they're both the same and both have different sides. A lot of people want pressure. Some people want relaxation, or a little bit more people want relaxation, from my opinion. That's not a fact. That can be, if it is, I'm pretty sure it will be, but that's my opinion. I think a little bit more wants Swedish relaxation, which is your Effleurage stroke that we just went through. And a lot of people right under that, like this, a lot of people want deep pressure, but they mistaken it for deep tissue. Make sense? Okay, let's move forward. So out of those 8 that I give you, that is, the transitional stroke is where we left off at, which is, can also be used as feathering, but Effleurage can be used as that as well. Now let's move on to the second one, which is Percussion. You probably never experienced that if you're going to anybody, but if you're at least going to, a franchise with professional that has, that requires license, because there's some out there that doesn't require license for you to massage, that you probably would never know. But your most popular one, is because it's illegal to actually massage someone without the license. You already heard about that when I talked about it on the licensed massage therapy. That's episode 9. But if you haven't, go back to that, because now license is in force. Before then, I'm not going to go further. Check the episode out. It's real cool. It's real intense, and I break it down. But sticking with the techniques, right? If you're at least going to a franchise license, you're going to be sold mostly on, the Effleurage portion and some deep pressure stuff, right? Because those are the 2 that's leading. But the Percussion technique, for all my massage therapists out there or the people that don't know, it's a kneading stroke, okay? So this is kind of the motion of that Percussion. It's kind of like the picking up of, it's kind of like that. I don't have no lotion on my arm, so you can't really see. But if you're seeing them, because my arm is kind of, yeah. You see the muscle, but the is more picking up the skin. Okay, So what I'm doing when I pick it up, I'm kind of like pinching down, right? So I squeeze and I come up, but I don't squeeze hard. I'm not trying to pinch you. I'm just grabbing enough to kind of bring that up there. It's kind of hard to see that. Let's use some of this fat right here. All right, it's something like that, but I'm doing both hands at the same time. So it's a kneading stroke, and the reason for that is to squeeze out waste, pumps new blood in, right? Breaks up adhesions, right? It is to wake or rehabilitate weak muscles, right? And it stretches out muscles and fascia. And the reason how it does that is it takes the connective tissue from your skin, your derma. It takes because how it works, everybody, if you don't know, you have connective tissue between your skin and your muscles. So when you pick that skin up, you're also picking up that connective tissue that's attached to the muscles. And when you're doing that, you're kind of using that connective tissue to pull on those muscles to help stretch it out, because you're lifting those muscles as well. So it helps, and this is where you pump new blood in. You create space for blood to come in to do what it does. The new blood, fresh blood comes in, has nutrients and healing within it. And we're trying to squeeze out the waste and the bad blood that's causing a lot of that's can be from scar tissue or medicine that you're putting into your body that you don't know, that's being stored in your body or in your muscles, causing all kinds of stuff. Right? That's why you shouldn't really, well, I'm not going to advertise that. Okay. So you have that. Then you have compressions. Okay. So the compressions is to increase blood flow. Okay. It's another technique that also pumps out old waste. Okay. And pumping new blood is similar, but it's compressions, right? Kind of when you think of the CPR, that it probably wasn't how people do it, but and there's a breathing part, but we're not gonna do that. When you do that, you're pumping in new blood, which brings in the nutrients, brings in the healing, brings in all that, and it pumps out the old waste that shouldn't be there. Okay, so it's also sedating, can help sedate pain and tension and all that stuff, right? Or more pain, right? Or irritation, kind of, but more pain. Okay, and it increases joint mobility with that, and it also breaks down deposits and fascia, which is like myofascia, breaks it down. Okay, you know what that is, look it up. Okay, breaks it down. Okay, so let's go. I don't know what that was, but that is compressions. That's another technique used. Number 4 is vibration. It's also a sedating stroke. Okay, it also and it's based on the speed and duration. Okay, and it's stimulating. It can decrease pain as well as another technique if it's something that's painful, and that's why you can kind of get those massage guns, and that feels good. It helps lower that pain tolerance, or not the tolerance, but help lower the pain down, reduce that pain, and it affects the like the fluid floor, like it, you can look that up too. But mainly is to stimulate, decrease pain, and sedating, based on how quick and how long, or based on the speed and duration. So I do that too. I got the this is a form of, which I call, it's a technique I use. Compression is combined with vibration and compression. Okay, so when I'm down on a certain area, maybe a low back, it feels best there, like your QLs, which is main problem of low back pain. I talked about that before. On the QLs, I put that compression there to, and increase blood flow to pump out the waste and everything, and then I add the vibration, right? So it's this, and if you see my arm, right, it's turning like this, right? My ulna is turning, right, like this. It's kind of like that. Oh, it's kind of like that doing the nay-nay, you know what I mean? It's that, right? Not to get off topic. So it's this, right? Real fast. You know what I'm saying? So you do that with the compression, feels good. Everybody say it feels like a massage gun if you do it fast enough. Like, people love that technique. I shared that technique with a lot of other therapists, and they use it. It's a great technique. I just showed the world, right? So you have that. Those are the vibrations. So I'm already at 4 right now. Now, the 5th technique is also known. You probably know about this, but probably don't get all, or not offered this, but you probably don't get this much. I don't use it much, but is beneficial. It's Topotment. What people know about this is the percussion portion of it. So the percussion, kind of like the karate chop, right? Michael Jordan, the karate chop. You're doing this, but there's certain ways. If I do it this way, see if I can do it with my hand, and see if I can do it on the mic. You hear how it is? Like there's a hit, but then there's like a right after it. If you can hear it, like there's the first where it contact the pinky, and then the rest is the fingers coming together like this, right? So doing that, I can hold both of these up, and I can do, stuff like this. I can do the hands. I can do, kind of like a quack sound. Like there's one kind of like this. It has like the hole there, and at the top like that, like a little quack sound, or there's different portions of percussion. There's different ways to hold your hand, fist, or soft fist, or whatever, right? But it's a percussion, which is Topotment, but it's a percussion techniques, and that's also used to like stimulate the nerve. Repetition can create a numbing effect. So if the area is painful, we do that long enough, it'll become more like numb, right? And it's like, oh, I don't feel painful anymore. That's because you use that technique. That's what that's for, right? Which also increases blood flow, increase muscle tone, and it's a very good technique, right? So those are 5 versus just the one that you usually get. I ain't trying to dance or anything, but all that just rubbing, which is the Effleurage technique, which is relaxing, which is great. It has its benefits, but that's all you're being sold. That's all you ever really get. Every now and then you might get a Topotment, but that's there. Now we at the friction, which is 3. You have the super friction or superficial friction, which is to create heat, right? That's pretty much the main thing for that. It's right at the top. You're not trying to move the skin much. Just right at the top. You do that long enough, which is already starting to do, it heats up right at the skin level, derma. It heats up right there, okay? And then what ends up happening is you have the fiber friction, okay? So that's another one. So you have the super friction right at the skin, create heat, boom. That's good for IT bands. So if your IT bands hurt, you create that friction there, it'll help with that too, to kind of calm that down. Now you have fiber friction. And last but not least, you have cross fiber friction. They kind of go hand in hand. They're kind of opposite. It's like the blue and the red, or, it's kind of opposite, but the same, right? Kind of. So the fiber friction goes with the grain. And this is why you need to have that education to tell you how the muscle fibers be. Because the best way I can describe the muscle fiber, you ever had that straw that can stretch out? That's how your muscle fiber is. That stretchy part where it elongates and then compress. That part is kind of like how your muscles work, right? And those are the fibers. They're like little pouches that can stretch and that can come down and compress. Those are your muscle fibers, right? So going with the grain can help lengthen the muscle fibers. It has no glide, and it helps breaks up adhesions as well. And it goes direction of the muscle. Which direction is the muscle? That's why you need to go to school and learn the direction of your muscle fibers. Boom, 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 boom. How about that? So you have that. But then you have cross fiber friction, which is to separate, right, the fibers. Also breaks up adhesion and reduces scar tissue. And it actually don't have a glide either. So what you probably didn't know, if you have a scar, say you had knee surgery, say you have arm surgery, or wherever your scar may be, right? We can help make that scar even better than what it is, no matter how long that scar has been there. Because what you probably didn't know, because look how long it took for your skin to develop. Once you were conceived, it took months to get to this portion. When you come out as a baby, you were still sensitive and your skin was still developing, right? From African Americans, you probably didn't have all your skin tone. You were probably lighter as a baby, then you got darker, or however. But it took a long time to develop your skin. So when you get a cut or something like that, your main job when you get cut and there's damage to the body, that's where you get pain, because pain is an acronym that I like from Dr. Brett Jones that says pay attention inside now. Right? Pay attention inside now is pain. Right? So it doesn't have to be inside, because you get a cut and you can see it. It's not inside, it's right there. So when you get a cut, the main job of the body when it's hurt, in pain, damaged, injured, is to protect itself. How it protects itself is by, if there's a wound, closing up that wound as fast as possible. Okay? I believe it uses collagen. But, close up that wound as fast as possible. Okay? By using everything it needs to use, which I believe is collagen, and closing up that to stop the blood, stop the bleeding, boom, 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 boom. And when that cut is super deep, right? Let me just double check to make sure. I want to give y'all no. Collagen supplemented for healthier skin, hair, and joints. What else to say here? Let's give y'all collagen benefits for skin, or let's look at collagen scar tissue. Right? Scar forms a part of the healing process after your skin has been cut or damaged. Collagen. I was right, because I went to school. And it's been a while since I really talked anatomy like that. But it's right there. Okay? So collagen, right? When you get cut, like I said, I feel good because I get it right. So when you use collagen, it uses collagen to cover and to fill in the cut of the whatever wound that you're having. Right? It does that. Right? And that's where you see when your scar is different color than your actual skin, that's because collagen filled that in. And we can affect that. My licensed massage therapist can improve that to make it look better, to make it feel better. The scar itself, now I can't make, if you need a surgery or whatever, that's what it is. But the scar itself, we can actually help improve. And because no matter how old it is, we can do that. You probably didn't know that either, but it's a part of cross fiber friction. That's the technique to use to make that scar look better. How about that? How about them apples? Right? So those are 8, including 2 more, like the feathering, the deep tissue, which was actually 2 within that as well. There's a lot that we can do as licensed massage therapists versus just the Effleurage you're being sold to. Not sold to, but advertised to. That's the difference. That's me breaking it down. Right? To show you, like, it's so much to remember. That's why I had to look that up. I was pretty sure I was right, but I wanted to make sure y'all had the correct information. Right? That's what it is. All of that we use and think about when you're on the table to do what we do. This is having this problem. Let's use this technique. Let's use this. Let's combine this with that. Let's do this to that to this, that. Here, boom, back to back. We start flowing after a while. Almost beatboxing in flow terms. Okay? Versus the 1 and half of that 1. Just the relaxing with the flutes and everything. That's what you're being advertised. And we got all that stuff to work and the benefits of that. So, hopefully, me breaking this thing down, it will forever be broke. And there's many, many, many more. Okay? Those, and that's just Swedish. I already gave you the glimpse. Those are your average foundation Swedish massage technique, but advertise 1 technique out of the 8 and the benefits to what we can do with that. So, what do y'all think about that? Let me know in the comments below. And hopefully that was able to help give you a better and clearer understanding, some more information of what I do and a lot of other, great licensed massage therapists, the proper techniques for us to use to help you as best way we can. Let's not bring it in the massage gun or all the other stuff. All right. Oh yeah. One more thing. With all of these techniques that we just went through, okay, before we end the show, it's very extremely important to know, along with these techniques, that there's a certain direction you're supposed to go. Because when you're moving blood, everything, especially the extremities, okay, your arms and legs, should be pushed towards the heart. Yeah, every now and then you can, as far as the strokes, kind of like a back and forth type of thing, but everything should be pushed towards the heart. The only ones that it really doesn't matter with is, you could say the scalp, of course, the face, of course. We can do the back. The back doesn't really matter. What direction you go. Face doesn't really matter what direction you go. I would say kind of like a down towards the, it doesn't really matter. But one thing that doesn't have to be or doesn't get pushed towards the heart, but that has its own direction that's vital, is the stomach. The stomach, you're supposed to go in a clockwise, or a clockwise direction. So because on the right side here goes up, this is your ascending, transcending, descending. Okay? Ascending, transcending, descending. Okay, colon or whatever you want to put. But it goes that way. So you want to follow that system. Okay, depending on how you do it. This is my right side. So just let you know, up the right, over, then down the left. Because if you don't do that, say if you're eating or however, if you don't do that, you go reverse or you try to do whatever too much, you can end up giving somebody constipation. You can end up messing up their digestive system. You can end up really causing some damage to how the body process the food and drinks and your liver and your stomach. All this stuff can be messed up, okay, if you do not go in that direction. Yeah, every now and then you can, kind of gather and, come from the back over around to the stomach and, do a couple of things. But make sure that you are pushing towards the heart, unless you're on your scalp and face, unless you're massaging the back. The back doesn't really matter that much. It's kind of like the more free zone of massage any direction. But the stomach do have to be clockwise, okay? This direction, okay? In order for you not to mess up anything. And this is why we can help with digestive system, because we can help push along. Sometimes problems like digestive system slows down. But if we go according to the way it's supposed to flow, we can help speed it up. We can help get it flowing efficiently. If you're constipated, this is going through that system, and it's more of a scoop technique that we use. We can push whatever is stuck in your system, in your stomach. We can push that along through the digestive system to help get it out. Not saying we're going to scoot it all the way to help get it out. No, we ain't doing that. But we're, here, girl, okay, squeeze. No, we're not going to do that. But we can push along to help, and hopefully the digestive system starts to be encouraged to start to do its and process what needs to be processed. And then, 10, 15 later, you can finally use the restroom. That happens before. I've seen it happen before, but it's very important. Stomach, clockwise, extremities, everything else except for the head and the back, towards the heart. Vital, very important, towards the heart. Okay? So without further ado, remember to resync back to yourself. Hopefully, no, 2 fingers, right? Yeah, I ain't just see 1, 2 fingers. Peace. Much love, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you share, like, comment, and subscribe so you can get notified on the new uploads to the channel. If you're watching this on my website, thezodiacexperience.com, make sure you join the email list where you can get notified on new episodes or even a chance to join the live show, me and the audience, and even get some cool gear like this jacket and shirt. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes, whatever you are, make sure you follow so you can get notified as well. And last but not least, if you're not following me on any of the social platforms, IG, Facebook, TikTok, etc., everything is at the Zodyac Experience. All the links, everything else could be found down below. Appreciate you tuning in. Once again, thank you. And remember to resync back to yourself.